With the entry of the colonial powers into Namibia in the early 1800s, over the development of that century, what had happened was the people grew discontent of the violations and, of course, the unfair treatment by the German colonial rule at that time. And, of course, an uprising grew. The Herero uprising was led by Chief Samuel Herero, and, of course, the Namakwa uprising was led by Hendrik Witbooi. So basically what happened was that they began to revolt and fight back against the colonial powers, and as a result of that, the colonial powers reacted. And of course, being far advanced, even at that time, technologically and in terms of weaponry, they obviously destroyed a lot of homes, misplaced a lot of people, killed a lot of Namibians, particularly Nama and Herero, indigenous people of that time. And basically that is just like a brief introduction. I know I'm not a historian, but I know a little bit about it to be able to just give that little background.
Okay, Ms. Mundjindi, why do you think, what is the significance now of celebrating this history?
Well, the significance of celebrating this history is basically to actually raise awareness and educate the youth about the genocide. And also because this history is actually not really well explained by people. There are even some of the people who do not know about this history as we speak. And we really thought, let us create a platform where we can invite people from diverse groups, especially the young people, to educate them and raise awareness about this history. Even me myself, who are so much advanced in years, when I attend these platforms, there are also certain aspects that I'm not aware of. And this platform is really basically to raise awareness and increase understanding on this historical event.
Sir, if I can touch base with you.
Yes.
Tell me, in what ways can young people contribute to the healing process or support the efforts of Herero and Nama descendants in demanding justice and recognition?
Interesting that you asked that question, because in one of our... Okay, so basically what we have done is we call it a trilogy of remembrance in terms of the discussion that is happening. 7th of November is that we've had the first event focusing purely just on the history of the matter and the situations that led to the genocide in itself, you know. And then in the second event, we focused on the present issues. And part of that discussion was basically the question you were asking in terms of what role can young people play, how can they contribute? And part of that role, and specific to the event, is that let young people be part of the conversation. And what you can do as a young person perhaps listening is that you can join the place where the conversation is happening at 1800 hours at the House of Democracy, where we basically want to create a platform where we speak about these issues, particularly with the youth perspective in mind. So young people should endeavor to be a part of this, because it is also election year. So the better you understand these things, and if it therefore something that interests you and that you want your interest in this specific regard in terms of genocide to be reflected by the next government, it is also an opportunity for you to come learn about it and then also better make your decision.
Okay, Ms. Mundjindi, let's hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Tell me, what role does education play in preventing the recurrence of genocide and fostering a more informed society?
Well, education really plays a very big role in ensuring prevention, simply because once you are educated about the consequence of a particular event or an action, you will actually know that once we are informed about a particular the consequences of the past, for example, genocide, we know that a lot of people are actually living in poverty simply because of the land and properties that has been taken away. But should you now know as a young person, or even if you are not young, you will also not want to really continuing living in the past. You will also strive your best to get yourself out of poverty. and also with the joint declaration, with the development programs that the joint declaration is actually fostering, you will also be able to say, let's make use of these programs in an effective manner so that you can change your situation. And also, and then once you are educated, you know that violence does not really take you into a good situation. She will always strive for peace and stability so that at least you are not in an unfortunate situation.
Okay, still staying with you. How can schools and universities perhaps improve their teaching of colonial history to ensure that young people understand the full scope of historical injustices like the Herero and Nama Genocide?
Well, I think schools really plays a very big role in the education system of that historical event in terms of moving away from theory to practice, where they can at least introduce the subject into innovative ways such as arts, dramas, and exhibition. When you have those particular innovative learning tools, children or the youth will be able to understand what really happened, and they will have a very full scope and understanding of the subject matter at hand. So translate theory into practice by using attractive ways of transferring information with regard to genocide.
Say, finally with you, how do you envision this event contributing to broader discussions around historical justice, reconciliation, and reparations for communities affected by genocide and colonial violence?
You see, as Africans, it is important, and it is an African proverb that in order to know where you are going, you must know where you are coming from. And part of the essence of this event is information sharing, because in collaboration with the Frederich Ebert Stiftung, this and NID, we basically came together and we said, how is it that when the genocide discussion happens, it's always youth absent? Like the youth are only like bystanders in terms of that. So the purpose of this event, because the main focus is, of course, young people, but all ages are invited, is that we create a platform where young people can learn around the events of the genocide, a platform where their concerns can be raised and addressed, and that is why we always focus on bringing the right stakeholders at every event. And concerning this particular event, we have brought somebody from the affected community, and we also brought a professor and academic that will come to the event to sort of share insights into the into events that led around the genocide, and of course also where we are going in terms of the future prospect, looking at sort of the brighter future, and also in terms of the relationship between Namibia and Germany. So it will be a very insightful discussion, and that is the ultimate of it, that young people are given a platform where they can know, learn, and if needed, make an informed decision. We don't want by this time next year any young person to say, no, but there are no platforms where we can talk about these things. Those people, they only discuss those things in closed rooms, but we don't have an opportunity. This is the opportunity where young people can come and ask questions, be part of the discussion, make contributions. And I know Sylvia will also speak about a very important a launch that will happen on that day with regards to the event as well.
Can you please enlighten us?
Well, that event, we are going to launch a publication that was also written by historians on the subject matter. And the publication is titled An Unresolved Issue, Genocide in Colonial Namibia. So, as Ginola have alluded to, one of the speakers is a contributor of this publication. He's also going to talk about how do Namibians move forward, how do Namibia and Germans reconcile and find peace and peace and stability, emotional stability that I'm referring to. Yeah.
Okay, how do I get hold of the book if perhaps I'm somebody that's interested in the book?
I brought you the gift. That's yours.
Okay.
But this book, it will be available at the launch. When you come, is from 6 o'clock, that's when the discussion is starting. You will have the opportunity to grab yourself a copy for yourself and those who are also not able to be there. So at least you can get at least a number of copies for you and for themselves as well.
Additionally, I know FES is generous. They always have a lot of these copies. So if you are not able to make it to the event for one unfortunate reason or the other, please, you can always visit their offices. I know Sylvia
at 95 John Maynard Street, Windhoek West. And that's where we are. And the name of the organization, Frederich Ebert Stiftung, is visibly written on the wall just as you entered the 95 John Maynard Street, in the same street as the Cancer Association. We are just on the left-hand side.